Is the Philippines now in recovery stage? Is the economy picking back up? I would say so. There's another improvement, another change that I would consider an improvement. We'll talk about it. Stay with me. There was another IATF pronouncement. This came out March 24th, Philippine date, of course, date and time. It's the 25th, meaning as of yesterday by US time. Let's see what it says. This is Resolution 165, and we are going to skip all the irrelevant ones. This is what we want to see. Beginning April 1, foreign nationals may enter the Philippines without need of an entry exemption certificate, provided they comply with the applicable visa requirements and immigration entry and departure formalities. And we're going to talk about that. This is the list of countries that are not required any visa, and they will be given 30 days to stay in the country. You can pause the video and take a look at this and see if your country is listed. If it is not listed here, you were previously allowed to have a visa, but you will need an entry exemption certificate, which is a pain in the neck to obtain. They are now removing that. So if you are in countries like China or Pakistan that is not listed here, previously you will need an entry exemption certificate. Now they are removing that requirement. Now what do you need to do? First of all, again, just like everybody else except Filipino citizen, you must be fully vaccinated. Number 2, you must have the proof of vaccination. Number 3, you need a negative PCR test taken within 48 hours or a negative antigen test taken within 24 hours. Keep that in mind. If it's a PCR test, it's 48 hours. If it's antigen test, it's 24 hours. And they are counting the hours, not days. For example, on antigen test, it says 24 hours does not mean yesterday. If you're leaving today at 8 a.m., you should have taken the test at 8 a.m. yesterday. Within, okay? Which means if you took it at 7 o'clock a.m. yesterday, it's no good. If you take it at 8 a.m. or later, that is within 24 hours. That's how you count that. And you have a valid passport for a period of at least 6 months. You must have a valid ticket for your return journey to the port of origin or next port of destination, not later than 30 days. You will need that. Of course, exception to that requirement are foreign spouses and children of Filipino citizen or former Filipino citizen with balikbayan privilege. Those were exceptions before. Now, if we're talking about outside of the 157 countries, you will need to get a return ticket or the next port of destination within 30 days. You must obtain a travel insurance for COVID-19. It should include COVID-19 from reputable insurance provider with minimum, forget about that reputable, could be okay as long as you have insurance, with a minimum coverage of $35,000 for the duration of their stay in the Philippines. A lot of people are still asking me the question regarding travel insurance. Oh, my insurance doesn't say 35,000, doesn't say COVID. Listen, it depends on your insurance company. If your insurance company gives you a letter that says you're covered overseas, including COVID-19, and that your coverage is more than 35,000, no less, okay? That's perfect. You can show that letter. But if you cannot get that letter, you always ask me the question, is it okay? I cannot tell you. It really depends on the airline. And in case by accident it gets checked by the immigration office, because as far as I know, the immigration office or at the border does not check travel insurance, only the airline. I will have another video on this subject matter. But don't ask me that question, because I'm already telling you, you can do whatever you want, but if you don't have those three things, you run the risk. I don't want to tell you that it's not going to be accepted, and then you presented something that does not include this information and it gets accepted. I don't want you to blame me. I'm not spreading fake news. I'm telling you the regulation says those three things. You must be covered in the Philippines, which means it should say overseas, and COVID-19 included, and minimum of 35,000 coverage. That's what the regulation says. They will accept something less than that. You're taking the chance. You will no longer be required to observe facility-based quarantine, but should be self-monitored for 7 days to make sure you don't have symptoms. That means you don't have to stay in the hospital. You can stay at home. In fact, you can move around as long as you monitor yourself and you're conscious that you do not have COVID. If you show symptoms, then you'll be required to report it to the local government unit, the LGU. Foreign nationals with valid and subsisting entry exemption documents issued prior to April 1, 2022 shall be allowed entry. So if you already obtained a previous EED, that's fine. Even though it's no longer required, it'll be accepted anyway. That's all they're saying here. If you were issued that EED, issued prior to April 1, you'll be allowed entry. Okay, that is great news. So this will be additional tourists, and I don't know how much of those people are usually coming in. Is it 50% of the travelers coming to the US? Is it only 10%, 20%, 30%? I have no idea. But I would imagine there's a lot, especially if you look at China. I did not realize that China is not included in the 157 countries, the so-called Executive Order 408 country, where they will be allowed 30 days. I didn't realize that. So at least they will be required to get a visa. I wonder why China is not included in the Executive Order 408. Well, when I went to China, as far as the US is concerned, we were required to obtain a visa to enter China. So maybe that is the reason. Maybe they're requiring all countries to obtain a visa. So if they don't give the same privilege to the Philippines, but look at United States. Philippines give the US a 30-day privilege without a visa. But US does not give that privilege to Filipino citizens. Strange. So I don't know what the rule is, why there's a difference. Anyway, please do share this with your friends and relatives. I'll appreciate it if you click like, and do subscribe to my channel unless you have already done so. Thank you so much. Make it a great day, and God bless.